A common question I get from piano players is, how do I move away from the sheet music? Many people feel like they can only play when they have the dots in front of them. If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. While reading music has its place, I believe there's a more creative and enjoyable way to play the piano, one that doesn't rely on constantly being glued to the sheet music. So in this video, I'm going to guide you through the steps you need to take to help move you away from sheet music, develop your musical ear, and start using a chord-based approach. This will hopefully bring you back to the reason you started learning piano in the first place, to be creative, expressive, and to truly enjoy the journey. Let's dive in. To get the most out of this lesson, don't forget to grab your free PDF lesson book, which contains the notation and sheet music for every step of the video. You can either scan this QR code or you can click the link in the video description. So the first thing you need to do is get away from thinking of a chord sequence as a random series of letters and numbers. For example, if this was our chord sequence, F, going to D minor 7, going to B flat, and then B flat over C. Okay, that's our chord sequence. Now, that's quite a lot to remember. F, D minor 7, B flat over C. And that's only the first 4 bars, okay? It's a lot of random letters and numbers. What I'd always be thinking is, where do those chords sit within the key? So I know here we're in the key of F major. There's our F major scale. F major has 1 flat, which is B flat. As I've said hundreds of times on this channel, always make sure you have the scale of the home key down. So that first chord in the sequence, I'm thinking of it as F, but I'm also thinking of it as chord 1 in the key. Chord 1 in the key of F major, okay? So I've kind of got 2 different ways to think of that chord now. Let's do the same thing with the next chord, right? Which was D minor 7. So as well as thinking of it as D minor 7, I'm also thinking of it as chord 6, okay? The relative minor, okay? That's where we've gone. Why is it chord 6? Well, if you take your F major scale up to the D, and then you build a 4-note chord on top by stacking thirds on top of each other, you get D minor 7, okay? That's where it's come from, okay? So we've got chord 1, we've got chord 6. Where are we going next? Well, we're then going to chord 4, which is B flat. Okay, there it is. And then finally, what's this chord here? Well, this is a bit of an interesting one. Used in so much kind of gospel music, pop songs. It's used in a lot of folk music, soul music. It's kind of everywhere. This is 4 over 5, B flat over C. B flat is chord 4 in the key, and 5, the note 5, is a C. Okay, you see that? So I'm thinking of it as 4 over 5. So we've now got that whole sequence: chord 1, chord 6, relative minor, chord 4, and then 4 over 5. What this means is you're able to now understand what's going on, okay? This progression I'm showing you here is in so many songs. It's like, sounds like so many songs, right? In the lesson book, I've actually put a bunch of songs that use this building block, okay? This is like a building block of harmony, a common chord progression. 1, 6, 4, 4 over 5, okay? Or sometimes 5, but we're doing 4 over 5 here, okay? So you can see, thinking of chord sequences in these building blocks is so helpful because it means you're able to spot these common patterns that keep on occurring in different songs you're playing. Okay, let's move on to the next step. What you notice about really great piano players is they have such a fantastic sense of rhythm. Whenever anyone says to me, how do I improve my sense of rhythm? I have one answer, which is play along with drum tracks. Even if you're someone that doesn't see yourself ultimately playing in a band or necessarily with other musicians, what playing with drum tracks does, even if you're going to be playing solo, is actually lock you into a groove. It opens up your ears, makes you start listening a lot more. And instead of playing with a metronome where you just get the main beats, you actually get the subdivision in the drums. Let me just show you a drum track here, right? This is one that I've put together and I've included it as part of that PDF download. So you can actually get this for free and play along with all this stuff at your own pace. Check this drum track out. Okay, have a listen to what's going on. You got several parts in there, right? You got the kick drum. Let's that low thud. You got the snare. And you got the hi-hat as well. Okay, hey, sorry to interrupt the video. I just wanted to take a moment to let you know that my brand new program, the Creative Piano Roadmap, is now open for enrollment. So what's inside the course? Well, it's broken down into 5 modules, 45 video lessons, and over 12 hours of HD content with me, with a structured, comprehensive approach to helping you get more creative, confident, and free at the piano. There are song challenges. It comes with a full PDF course book with everything laid out for you so you can work through the entire course at your own pace. If you're someone who feels like you've hit a plateau in your playing and want something to jumpstart your playing, I think you're really going to enjoy this course. It's only open for a limited time, so I've dropped the link down below in the video description, or you can also scan this QR code right here. Go check it out. I think you're going to find it really useful. Let's see if we can now take our chord sequence and inject a bit of rhythm playing along with this drum track. So what am I going to do? Yeah, I think I'm going to do something like that. So what am I doing there? What's the rhythmic pattern that I'm kind of locking into? Well, I'm playing on beat 1, everything's going down together, and then I'm doing a push in my right hand, and I'm kind of setting it up with my thumb. Watch this, it goes both together, thumb, chord. Okay, did you check that? And the rhythm is 1, 2, push, 1, 2, push, that kind of thing. 1, 2, push, 1, 2, push. And it doesn't matter if you do it slightly differently, okay, occasionally. That isn't a problem. That's actually a good thing, because it means that you're a bit more organic in the music. You're going with the flow a little bit more. It's a much more exciting way to play music, and it's so much more liberating. Let's have a go at playing this through with the backing track, just really focusing on that general rhythm. We got the push. Maybe I might do some extra things in there as well. Very simple, but let's see what happens. Let's give it a go. I'm really focusing on locking in with those drums, listening to the hi-hat and the shaker. Now, the next step is to get inversions into your playing. As piano players, we need to have these inversions down because they create smooth transitions in our chords. Now, in those examples I was just showing you, I was already using inversions in my right hand to get those smooth chord movements. But if I take those away, okay, it would sound like this. Can you see? There's a lot of jumping there. And particularly if I was to change it to a 5 chord, it's like everything's moving around. Do you see that? There's a lot of jumping, okay? Inversions are so important. I don't have enough time in this particular tutorial to take you through inversions, but if you are interested in learning more about that, I highly recommend this video up here, which I've also linked down below. It'll take you through my full process for getting inversions into your playing. And once you've got those inversions down, you then want to look at adding colour into your chords. So to add colour into our chords, we're just going to add one note, okay? And what I'm going to do, on each chord, I'm going to talk you through my process for what colour note I'm going to add in. So that first chord, chord 1, which is F, we're going to add in the second, okay? Now the second is a G on that F chord. You see that? It's down there. I've chosen to play it down there. Why is it the second, by the way? Well, if you take the first 5 notes of the F major scale, you can see we've got our main triad, which is 1, 3, 5, and you add in the second, which is that second note of the F major scale. Do you see that? So I could play that second. There's our shape we're using. I could play that second up there at the top. I quite like having the F on the top of my voicing though here. Just what I particularly feel like today. So I'm gonna play that, and I'm then gonna have my second down the bottom, my colour note. Do you see that? I'm then going to move on to the D minor 7, and I'm going to keep that same colour note. I'll quickly explain why that is. I think of all of my minor 7 chords as major triads over root notes, okay? Here we're thinking of this minor 7 chord, D minor 7, as F, chord 1, over D, okay, yeah? So we're still going to use the colour note of the major triad on top, this G. So that's going to stay where it is. So there's our first two moves. We've got F, you could call that F add 2 if you like, or some people call it F add 9, whatever you want. Then we've got, technically that would be D minor 11, but we can just think of it as D minor with that beautiful colour note. Then we're going to go to that B flat. Let's add in the second again here. Take our first 5 notes of B flat major, the scale, and we're going to add in the second, which is the C. Okay, so there's our B flat 2, which is a really nice shape. It just makes the chord sound so rich, you know, rather than those straight triads. Just gives it something else, a bit of extra character. Makes it ring a lot more. And then we're going to do the same thing on the B flat over C. We're going to keep that colour note up here, because B flat over C, we're adding in that second on the B flat chord in our right hand. So I'll take you through all of those. F with our colour note, D minor 7, our little colour note there, B flat, our little colour note there, that's C, and then same thing there, B flat over C, our colour note there. Just makes everything ring so much better, so much richer. Okay, let's talk about our left hand. You need to think of your left hand like an incredible bass player. Someone like James Jamerson or Pino Palladino or Esperanza Spalding. All of these incredible players. So much of the energy in a band comes from the bass and the drums as well. So you often think of the drums and the bass as being kind of together. They're like the engine room, they're the rhythm section, they're driving everything. You need to get that sort of bass player foundation into your left hand, okay? So many people think that your left hand needs to be super, super busy and lots of stuff going on. And there are certain styles of music where you might want to play like that. But to begin with, you need to get your left hand absolutely responsive, holding it down, so your right hand then has the freedom to go and be expressive and play melodies and all these other little things you might want to do, little fills. So how can you do that? The first thing is to take away your right hand altogether. Just go through a song you're playing or a chord chart or whatever it is, just with your left hand. I'm going to do that now through our sequence. And I think the rhythm I'm going to do is... So what am I doing there? I'm playing on beat 1 and then the and of 2, which is actually what the kick drum's doing. If you listen to the drum track, it's going boof, 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 boof. So you can see our left hand and the kick drum are hooking up together. And that's what I mean about the drums and the bass being so kind of instrumental in holding everything together, being like the foundation. Okay, let's give it a go. I'm really going to focus on just laying it down and playing with great groove. Hear that kick drum? See that? You might need to have some headphones on to hear it. So some other things you can do in your left hand, you can use octaves, okay? So rather than playing the same note, you can actually jump an octave. So you go... Doesn't matter what direction. That's a really simple one. You can also use the fifth of whatever chord you're on as kind of a springboard to get to that octave. Watch this. I'll just stay on that note there. Let's do the same thing again. See that? Now, all of these little tips and tricks, I wouldn't do unless I could absolutely just play those root notes without even thinking about it. And it would only be then when I add in the little octave jumps and fifth jumps and all of that kind of stuff that just helps take it to the next level. So let's just see where we are for the moment. Okay, so far we've got our sequence, which we're thinking of in terms of numbers. We've made all of the chords in the sequence colour chords. Okay, so we've added in those colour notes. In our right hand, we're going to be playing the rhythm, that kind of on beat 1 and then the push. And in our left hand, we're holding it down like a great bass player. We're doing little octave fifth jumps and keeping it going, keeping the foundation. Let's have a go at just putting all of that together so you can see how it sounds, and then I'll show you a few extra tricks of how you can take this to the next level. You can see there I was adding in a few little extra rhythms in my right hand, and what I was doing there was arpeggiating some of the notes in the chord. Let me show you how I might approach this throughout the whole bar. So if I wanted to create a different accompaniment style that had a little bit more going on, was a bit less chord-based and more rippling in my right hand, let me show you what that would look like. Now, it seems like there's a lot going on there, but what I was actually doing was simply arpeggiating the notes in our chords, okay? I'd come up with a rhythm, which is this. There's our rhythm, but you can see all of the notes I'm using, it's just our little colour chord that we looked at earlier. We've got that F triad there with our colour note down here, and I was doing this. Did you see what happened there? I'll do it a bit slower. All I was doing there was going from the top down to the bottom note, that G, then playing the whole chord. If I do that in time, do you see that? And then at the end, all I do is I run up all the notes in the chord. So if I play you the whole pattern, 3, 4. That's a really simple way you can take any chord shape and make it into an accompaniment pattern. So let me do that through the whole sequence so you can see how this sounds. I've written this out for you in the course workbook so you can follow along and try this all at home. Let's give this a go with the track. Now the next thing is to begin to add piano fills into what you're playing, okay? And piano fills are just the way of connecting the chords you're playing together. So, for example, one thing I suggest people do when they start out is to only use a few notes for their piano fills. So in this case, I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, and 5 of the key, okay? We're in the key of F, so I'm going to use F, G, A, and C. And I don't necessarily have to play them like that. I could play them there. I could play them there. But the idea is that I guess you want them to come out of the texture, so playing them up higher is going to sound a lot better. Let me give you a little demo of what this could sound like. I've got my 3 notes, and I'm probably going to go back to just playing that pattern like that. And in the gaps, after I've played those first 2 chords, I'm going to improvise a little melody just using those notes. Let's give this a go. I'll try this with a track. Let's see what happens. You see, it just links all the chords together. Makes it much more flowing. So what I've done here in this video is essentially do a bit of a whistle-stop tour of all of the steps you need to go through in order to become a creative piano player. Someone who can sit down with just a chord chart and play really great voicings with great rhythm and confidently know what's going on in the music and also add a bit of their own personality to the music as well. So as I say, if you are interested in learning more about this, I do have the Creative Piano Roadmap in the video description. In the meantime, do download that free PDF lesson book. It's got everything written out for you so you can follow along step by step at your own pace. Go check that out. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next video.